Hello, guys, and welcome to today's episode of Parental Advocacy. My name is Patricia, and I am your host for today's episode. So, as you know, as I have been talking about distinctively, that God has ordained me to do a pivot in regards to the content that I normally talk about. I normally delve deep into mental health issues in regards to being molested, sexually assaulted, and things of that nature, or any type of abuse. However, God distinctively has parents on his mind. Therefore, he is charging me to come forth and get a lot of testimonies, inspirational insight, and information in regards to parental advocacy. This is so ironic because about 2 years ago, I actually started to do the content. However, then I myself went through one of the largest and hardest battles of my life in regards to things that were taking place with my child as well as myself. And so I felt as though I needed to pause. No, that was not what I needed to do. I actually needed to fast forward because in doing that, it would have made the purpose that I had be more resolute. Meaning, whenever you launch out to do something, the enemy is going to try to do his big one and attack you. Therefore, as I was going through and learning the content that God wanted me to talk about, I myself was under attack. Ironically enough, I didn't know which actual area it was in because it was many things, it was multiple things. And so the detriment that it did to me, God then let me understand, okay, this is your purpose. You're going to use this and you're going to put power to it because you're going to show people how you were able to overcome so many things as you became your own advocate. Meaning, as a parent, I had to advocate for myself in many different instances and situations. Now, I can't honestly say that God orchestrated or caused all the things that I went through, but I can tell you more often than not, I was the only one advocating for myself. Meaning, I had to find resources. Meaning, I had to get the right perspective of things. Meaning, I had to go to God on my behalf as a parent to get positive resolutions and solutions for the sake of me and my daughter. So, that is the reason why I have now pivoted in regards to the content because I don't know if all of you have, or if any of you have, or if all of you have had an opportunity to watch the movie Straw. Now, this is a movie. However, we know that women oftentimes that are mothers and single mothers go through this a lot. But I don't want to be biased. You can also go through this if you are a mother that is in a relationship with a man and or married. So, parental advocacy is something that I have birthed out through the pain of the circumstances that I have experienced in order that you may see God in your ability and that he will give you capacity and the ability to parent, whether you have a village or not, whether you have a child's father there if you're a mother or not, whether you have a child's mother there if you're a father or not. God is able to show concern and love for you as a parent because he said it in his word. He is concerned about the fatherless. Fatherless are children that do not have fathers, which is so interesting because he doesn't say anything about the motherless. He does talk about the orphan, which is who don't have parents, but he does not say anything about children being motherless, which is actually very interesting because we know that children can be motherless. Now, he does have instances in the Bible where I don't really think I've ever seen that a child has been motherless or that a child was just abandoned by their mother. Nevertheless, I'm pretty sure at that time when Jesus was alive and when he walked the earth and also when they were doing the Bible that these instances did take place. However, we also know that in that culture that being a mother was everything. Being able to birth a son, being able to birth a lineage or a legacy, to give a man a king, which is another little child to perpetuate their family line, was major. So I want to put that in there. Not that they didn't have women that abandoned their children or rejected their children, just that I don't see a lot of instances of it biblically. But if you have one, don't forget to leave it below. Maybe we could discuss it on another podcast episode. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you stay tuned for more content in regards to this channel. If you know someone that is struggling as a parent, please send this to them because it is nothing less than encouragement to let them know that God sees them, he loves them, he hears them, and he is for them as a parent. My other mantra is that everybody that was a child had a parent. A parent, let me rewind it. A parent is a human that once was a child that had a parent. And basically, that's just talking about the cycles that take place in our life. All of us were children at one point in time in our life. All of us had personal experiences with our parents. Some of us that were extremely detrimental and harmful and toxic and unhealthy. It can also actually frame you as you get older. So I believe that God is really serious with me about coming into people's lives, talking to them about being parents to help break a lot of the cycles that have taken place in people's lives so that these children can grow up and be the kingdom and queendom ambassadors that God is designing for them to become, that we raise them up as God would have them to be raised up so that they can assume their positions and their roles and get their job well done. With that being said, I feel like that was a mouthful. But with that being said, today I want to talk about parental anxiety. Parental anxiety. And it is so ironic that I'm just going to be 100% honest. God showed me that I was going to have my daughter when I had her. He gave me dreams about her before I had her. There was a friend that prophesied to me about her and had a dream about her before I had her. He also had people come to me and tell me, like, this is something that God wants you to go through by yourself when I was pregnant. And in that capacity, I did not understand, like, why would I go through all of this by myself? But now that I have gone through it, I understand why he allowed me to see so many of the things and experience so many of the things that I had. And another woman actually ended up telling me, because you're strong enough, God knew you were strong enough to deal with it. But that was just at the first quarter of everything that was taking place in my life. And on this channel, I'm going to detail a lot of it. And so when I had my daughter, I am a young woman that has not been mothered, meaning that my mother, we didn't have that nurturing, loving relationship. So when I was 12 years old, I moved with my grandmother, but I actually ended up taking care of myself from that time forward, because I moved with her to take care of her. But then when I went back home, I was about 14, 15. So I started working a job and I started cheerleading, and I never was at home. So ultimately, I didn't ever really see my mom, because I would work from like 12 to 10 at night during the weekdays. And then sometimes on the weekends, I would cheerlead at different instances. So I never was at home. I was always out, or I was with friends, or we were doing something, or going out to eat. You know how it is if you're a cheerleader, something like that. So I've always taken care of other people, right? Interesting enough, just recently I had my class reunion the other day, and while we were there, one of the gentlemen was just like, I remember you when you were a kid. I remember you. He was my same age, but he told me, he said, you were everybody's mom and you mothered everybody. And that was so interesting to me, because it actually gave me so much peace as to why, when I had my daughter, God said, you're going to do it alone, because I had already mothered so much. But even still with that, when I had my daughter, the first day that she came out, I remember just holding her and just tears dropping out of my eyes, because I had anxiety. I was afraid. I knew that it had been said that it takes a village to raise a child. And I myself, at that time, I did not have a village. So I started to become very hard on myself. Like, why would you get pregnant? Why would you get pregnant out of wedlock? Why would you do this to yourself? Because you know you don't have a lot of support. And I had even expressed that to my child's father at one instance, like, hey, I'm afraid because I know I don't have anybody there. Ironically enough, the fear that I had in regards to not having anybody was exactly what he wanted for me, because he wanted me to experience it by myself. He needed me to go through what I went through alone. And so ironically enough, as I started going throughout my life and mother and my daughter, he allowed me to go through so many instances where it was just person after person. Sorry guys, I have a window right here. It was just person after person and thing after thing and instance after instance that took place. And it caused so much uncertainty that for the longest I was so stressed out as a mom. Like, people always talk about a woman and the reason why she's bitter. No, some women are just really heartbreaking because they have had experiences with people, families, friends, coworkers, organizations, and things like that that have been very traumatizing, because no one knows that that mother is trying to do everything that she can, and or father, because I don't want to leave the fathers out. But she's doing everything that she can in order to provide this place of safety and provide this place of peace and provide this place of provision. All the while, she's not getting it. Meaning that what she's trying to serve and give, nobody's giving it to her. And so what happens is there's a level of anxiety that comes because okay, there's nobody there. There's nobody I can call. Okay, the baby's not feeling good today. I got to do the doctor, and then I got to do the follow-up appointment. Then I got to get the medication. Okay, now there's groceries that I need to go. I need to go to the store. I need to go to the market. And then now the tire on the car is messed up. And then now the job is downsizing, so they're letting your position go. Okay, and then now something is going on in your family where everybody is isolated, nobody's talking to you, and then now and now and now, and it's now this and now that, and then it goes to there's always something wrong, and that catches up with you, and then you have anxiety. You're like afraid of the future. Like, well, so much is going wrong. What can go right? And then I have this your little human being looking up to me, and it's like I don't have anybody to look up to, but God is like, you can always look up to me. And anxiety is horrible because you can have such of a fear of the future that it literally stops you in your tracks for today. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to make this work out. I don't know how I'm going to fix this. I just don't know. And the fear of not knowing mixed with I don't have a solution can really make a mom sad. I've been there before. I've had to go to work and the daycare provider just suddenly called off or been out of town and lied and said, okay, the plane didn't make it back in time, so I'm not at home. And just different instances over and over and over where it literally just causes so much distress and anxiety. Like, why do I feel like I can't breathe? Why do it feel like I'm drowning in everything that I have to do? I remember I was talking to one mom, and this is actually the beautiful part about being a mental health specialist. I've had an opportunity to talk to so many mothers, and they're like, there's always something to do. There's 510 things to do. And then when you get 510 things done, there's 511 left. Like, just a list of everything that moms have to do. And dads, because this is parental advocacy. So what I want to do, and I want to come on here and give you, is a bright light of encouragement. You are doing the best that you can with what you have. Make your life so simple. Your children are loved. They are nurtured. They are cared for. They are seen. They are loved. They are heard. And even if you may not have that, you are a special parent because you're giving that to your children despite not having it yourself. And so oftentimes with anxiety, it's more of an inward issue of you're not sure, you're not certain. You're not sure, you're not certain. And especially if you're a single parent sometimes. I know how difficult that can be because there has been many days where I was just like, God, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know how I'm going to fix this. And then boop, out of nowhere. As soon as I humbled myself and admitted that to God, He brought a solution. And there's going to be two different scenarios that I'm going to use to talk about this. I remember, and it's so funny, I remember that there was a time that me and my daughter were going to our doctor's visit. And we ended up there. Now that morning, the Lord had led me to fast. And so I fasted. And by the time we got back, my daughter was getting extremely sleepy. Lo and behold, while we were on the highway, my tire blew out on the highway. And so I was afraid because I'm like, man, the cars were going by and they were whispering so fast. And all of a sudden, my daughter fell asleep. She fell asleep. But we were literally on the highway for about 45 minutes to an hour. And she fell asleep and she was asleep that whole time. And ironically enough, I wasn't so much worried or concerned about myself. I didn't want her to hear the volume of the noise and all the trucks rolling past to create all the noise, and it caused her to get into a frenzy because it wasn't like I could just jump out of the car and get on the side of the road and hold her and try and coddle her and soothe her. But God had it to where she fell asleep and she stayed asleep the whole time. And I had to edge my way up because where I was on the highway, it was just not a healthy place to be. So I said, okay, I'm going to try and drive it. If I can just get up here to this corner, we'll be okay to get off the highway. But then the highway split and I found myself in a fork in the road. And I called the AAA and they got there, they fixed the tire and things like that. But as I was on that road, it was so scary because I had to keep the windows rolled up. Had to keep, I was trying to keep it cool in the car. I just wanted her to be comfortable and all of that. I felt very anxious. I was very afraid, but I was so glad also that I had AAA and God it was a solution, and I was glad that I was able to think on my feet quickly. But yes, I was afraid. As a parent, I had some issues with anxiety, like what's going to happen. Semis were driving by very fast, the car was rocking, but they came, they changed my tire, put my daughter on my tire. I still was able to take my daughter to daycare, and I still was able to make it to work because the job that I had was fairly new. I had just relocated. So when that tire popped on the highway, and I'm like, okay, I cannot afford to not go to work. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even about affording it. I just did not want to damage my reputation as a new employee that didn't show up for work that day because I had a pop tire. God came through. And the second instance that I want to use, where God actually did a miracle for me, was one day I just wanted to be so determined and take my daughter to go see these Christmas lights. And so I rode to this location, and we were sitting outside. I let her come up in the front seat with me, and then lo and behold, as we were driving away, my tire, the air just was completely gone. And we had only been there for like 15, 20 minutes. So for the tire to be okay and then all the air just be gone, it was extremely shocking for me. So as I was driving in my head, I'm like, okay, we just moved here. I don't know anybody. We can't just sit in front of this house, and I'm not going to get out and go knock on anybody's door and ask for help. I started to drive off, and I could have doubled back and went the other direction to see if it was like a gas station there. I said, nope, I'm just going to drive home. I'm just going to try and take the streets and drive home. But my house was about 30 minutes from the location of where we were. So I just started to drive, and I'm like, okay, I'll just take it really, really slow. She's in the back. She's calm. She's quiet. She's good. We're going to just go ahead. Ended up driving to a street, and then I just stopped. I stopped because I started feeling sad and anxious, like, why would this be happening to me? I'm just trying to take my daughter to do something nice and good, and lo and behold, my tire has popped. And I kid you not, somebody was driving past, and they asked, they said, and I was like, it was so crazy. Me and a friend of mine had just got done talking about how if somebody comes into your car, don't open the door, because now men are using women to lure women into the cars, to get them in compromising situations, to sex traffic them. So when the lady pulled up, I'm like, okay, what is this? But she stopped. She said, are you okay? And then she pulled over to the side of the road, and a man came out, and he was like, oh, are you okay? And he was like, well, I have an automatic air pump in my vehicle that you can utilize. And he pumped my tire for me. And the crazy part was, he said, we were not about to leave. We weren't even coming this way. And ironically enough, I was not going that particular way. I was going to go back the other direction and try and go to a gas station. So even with that, yes, I did have some anxiety. Like, my house is 30 minutes from this house. We were just trying to come and see Christmas lights. Why would this be taking place? But even in that moment, God showed up. When I was feeling under pressure, like, okay, there's nobody to call, there's nobody to ask, we just relocated, I don't know anybody here. Why would my tire be doing this? God showed up. And that man pumped my tire. And then the next day, that night, he told of another location to go and visit for additional Christmas lights. I was able to make it home that evening. That morning, I got up, and I had to drive my vehicle down a main street to get to the tire shop. And the man was telling me, like, okay, your tires are extremely bald. Like, they're just bald. And he was like, okay, if you buy 2, I'll give you 2 for free. And yes, I did get proposition while I was standing on the side of the road. A man pulled up to me like, if you need help, if you help me, I'll help you. I said, no, sir, I don't think that's what's going to be going on here. And it was, even with that, just having a baby in a car, that can be a lot. But both instances, God showed up. He showed out. My daughter was safe. He provided for me. And in my moments of feeling anxious, when I cried out to him and asked him for help, he sent it. Yes, we did have to sit there at different times and different instances just for a little while. My daughter was in danger. Sometimes she wasn't in danger. Sometimes she would just be sitting there asleep. But God always came through. And that is the purpose for this channel, for you to understand, as a parent, God will come through for you. But how much are you leaning on him? How much are you anchoring into him and trusting him for him to come through, not only for your kids, but for you as their parent? There has been so many miracles that God has done for me in my journey of parenting. And I believe it is also that he does this so that I'm able to get online and share this wonderful insight with you to help you understand. Just because you become a parent, that does not take away the love that God has for you as his child. Even if you have parents, you are still God's child. So as a parent, he is still going to father you and love you and nurture you and give you what you need in order that you may be this awesome, wonderful, insightful mom or dad. Just because we become parents, because we're adult, that is not a time for us not to utilize God and all his resources, his love, strength, and capacity to help us on the journey of parenting. And so if you are someone that just has anxiety in general, or you are battling with anxiety, no, I'm not a doctor. I am not here to diagnose you. I am simply here to encourage you to look at avenues and resources that are going to help you. Because the world that we live in right now and all the things that are going on with children, you are going to need an anchor. Your anchor is the Lord Jesus Christ. You're going to need someone that is going to be able to uplift you and encourage you in days when it is tight, when it is hard, when it is difficult, when you don't have the village and you don't have anybody that's calling you to check on you. You can always anchor into God because he's faithful. He's faithful because you're his daughter, you're his son. And even however you had the children, whether you had them through adultery, whether you had them through just a drunken night and you had sex, and you however you had your children, you are assuming the role and the responsibility for them. You have taken accountability, and now you just lean into God and trust him to provide everything that you need, and some things you just don't need. I was so anxious when my daughter came out, but nobody was able to see it. But somehow I just knew what I knew. The only time that I really had a difficult time was when I actually had conversations with other people that did not understand what God had me doing as a mother. When you are a parent that has a chosen child, you live your life differently. And the enemy oftentimes will try to hit you with everything, like you don't know what you're doing. Why are you making that decision? That does not make sense. But you stay anchored into God, because a lot of times he may not tell you. He may not tell you exactly why certain things are happening, but he requires that you trust him, that you stay anchored into him, that you listen to him, that you pray, and that you know even when he's silent, he is still looking after you and your children. So today I wanted to talk about parental anxiety today and give you a couple testimonies of mine of how God has just shown up and helped me through random strangers and random people. And trust me, I'm going to keep this information coming because I believe that we are in a time right now where there is so much with parents where the enemy literally wants parents to forsake their children. He literally wants them to give up, abandon, and reject and dismiss their children. Why? Because he's going to try to put them in the hands of somebody that doesn't love them, does not like them, does not see their future, doesn't care about nurturing them, or them becoming the kingdom men and women they are designed to become from God. So I thank you so much for tuning in to this very, very, very impromptu podcast. Please like, comment, and share with someone that you think needs the content. Listen, we are all parents. We are on a journey. We are learning, but we are thriving as parents. Make sure that you leave me a comment, and you can follow me on TikTok at the Parental Advocacy, on YouTube, Parental Advocacy, and we'll be back with more content at a later date. And just remember, God is not a prayer away. He's always there. You just have to pray. Have a good day, guys.